Well, good day everybody. Welcome back to the channel. And have you considered the question of what's in your closet? Yes, sometimes we collect typewriters, so many of them, and we try to find room to store them that we kind of forget about certain typewriters. I hadn't really forgot about this per se, but I just kind of ignored it. My wife reminded me the other day that in our bedroom closet, along with her Olympia SM3, was this Corona Standard from 1938. And I thought it would be fun to revisit the flat top piano-shaped Corona Standard. Stay tuned. Well, I think the first thing we should do is just give it a test typing. I believe the last time I used this machine, which I don't know how long it's been, it was working fine. I mean, pretty well, you know, considering it's 1938, and don't know what the condition of the rivet is or anything like that. So it looks like the A type bar is sticking up here at the type guide, or somewhere, maybe the segment. So I'm going to have to go through and check out all the linkages and see which ones are sticking and maybe do some degreasing on this. And then, you know, this ribbon, I don't know what kind of ribbon I had in it, but it would be nice to put in a fresh ribbon. I do have a red-black Baco ribbon, so maybe replace the ribbon, do a little degreasing, and then see what happens. Well, this Corona Standard I got off of a Craigslist ad here in Albuquerque a few years ago by a gentleman who was is a biochemist at the University of New Mexico, and he had last used this machine in 1980, used it while he was going through college. He put it in the closet, and it was maybe 2017 or something when I picked it up from him. But his dad also used it after World War II when he went to college back east somewhere, east meaning east of New Mexico. So there is an interesting history, interesting local connection here. It's a beautiful typewriter, of course, and the shape of it, these are classic piano-like shapes. And of course I play around with that as an affectation with my little candelabra. But okay, the typewriter is a little dirty, needs to be degreased, needs a new ribbon. So I think I'm going to go do that. Well, we're out here on my workbench. It's a little warm out here, and I have a fan going, and I hope the noise of the fan isn't too distracting to you. Okay, so let's remove the ribbon, shall we? These Coronas have an interesting little bracket, the auto-reversing bracket that the ribbon goes through. It's not just a forked guide, it's like a loop. So it's a little more tricky to remove the ribbon. Off to the side, there we go. And my finger is really hardly dirty at all, so indicating, you know, probably the ribbon's pretty dry at this point. So the thing that we have to keep in mind is we want to keep our solvents off of the paint. I'm going to just cover the keyboard with a towel. Well, okay, so I'm going to start with some 91% isopropyl alcohol. I like to use these long, stiff hairstyling brushes for doing permanence. So I have the typewriter situated on a thick towel. This teal colored towel is my grungy, greasy degreasing towel. It occasionally gets cleaned. So I'm just kind of dribbling alcohol into the segment, and then I'm going to kind of work the keys. And if you really want to see an expert on cleaning typewriters, check out Phoenix Typewriters channel. Dwayne Jensen, he does a lot of good videos on how to degrease these machines. So basically the idea is to get all the greases dissolved or suspended in the solvent, and then blow the solvent out with the grease. In doing so, you want to keep the machine nicely covered so you don't get you know, the paint job ruined. You're just kind of working that alcohol in. It's going to dissolve pretty fast, especially in the warm climate here. So it looks like it's not sticking anymore, but just to be on the safe side, I think what I'm going to do is we're going to go to one step higher in our solution. This is a lacquer thinner in a squeeze bottle. I keep it in a little can in case the bottle leaks. This stuff you definitely want to use in well-ventilated areas, and be careful of flammable flame sources. It is highly flammable. I'm just trying to make sure all the grease gets out of here, and keep your typewriter well covered when you do this. Of course, this is not how you play the piano, by the way. It's just a way to try to work the solvents into the joints enough to loosen up all the grease. And then we will blow out the lacquer thinner, being careful to not get it splattered on the paint of the typewriter. Okay, let's go test and see if we adequately degreased the machine, shall we? Okay, so I'm going to move the typewriter off to the side momentarily. Here's my wet spot of solvent and grease. I'm going to set the typewriter on its back here so I can test the type bars. So this is a little trick that I developed for testing the type bars for sticking. You position the typewriter on its back like it is, and you want to find the universal bar, which is the bar that runs crosswise to all the linkages. What that bar does is it operates the ribbon advance mechanism and the ribbon vibrator that lifts the ribbon. And there's a spring-loaded feature to this bar that helps the type bars retract back to their rest position after you type a key. So what we're going to do is we're going to hold the universal bar open so that it's not offering any assistance to the type bars. And then as we do that, we're going to hit each key slowly, and you'll see it's going to lower the type bar to the typing position. And when you release the key, it has to pull itself back up to the rest position under its own weight. So I'm not going to go much further than about horizontal with the type bar. If the type bar goes beyond horizontal, it can't really pull itself up all that easy, but you can kind of see each type bar is being pulled up by its own spring tension. Each one has its own spring. What I'm looking for is just to make sure none of these are sticking. It's a very subtle thing, like the 5 there is a little slow. 4 is good. Just want to make it, so let me check the A key here. It looks like it's a little sticky still. See how the S comes up on its own? The A wants to stick a little bit. So I'm going to do more cleaning in the segment for the A. Probably use a mascara brush. And also some of the other linkages for the A key. I'm going to check those as well and try to clean those. But I'm going to just basically go through and check all of these key levers, check the linkages one at a time, and make sure that they're all retracting. They're able to pull their own weight back up to the rest position, meaning there's no binding. And this is, of course, with the universal bar activated, pulled away from the type bars underneath the machine. So it looks like most of them are pretty good except for the A key. The problematic A key. So I'm also checking the A key when it goes into the type guide, and it felt like it was a little sticky. Now sometimes it can be caused by grease buildup on the sidewalls of the type bar right below the type slug itself, making it sticky. Other times what it can be happening is it's bent and it's actually rubbing on the inner walls of the type guide slot, causing it to hang up. And you kind of have to feel, and like you can do a slight bending movement either left or right and see, is it closer to the right side or to the left side? It feels like it's closer to this left side here. It's upside down, of course, but the typewriter's left side. So a little bit of reforming, and it makes it feel like it's not rubbing on the sidewalls of the type guide. That feels better. And there's the only way we can really tell, of course, is to type with it. Holding the universal bar away, it feels like it's okay. It's not sticking. Well, that's good. Okay, so the rest of the type slugs are degreased, hopefully. The only other thing I really kind of worry about sometimes is the ribbon drive mechanism. Sometimes that gets gummed up and the ribbon doesn't advance properly. So I'm going to do a little testing here and see how the ribbon advance works. Okay, so the left side ribbon reversing guide operates this little pivot arm, and the little shoulder screw that it pivots on, that I'm pointing to with my screwdriver, this was gummed up and this arm wasn't moving freely. And I just took again, a mascara brush with alcohol on it, and I squirted some alcohol in here and wetted this down, got it thoroughly saturated, worked it so that the alcohol was underneath the shoulder screw in the hole in the shoulder, and then I blew it out with some compressed air. And now the reversing works just fine. Very cool. Also, there is an equivalent screw for the right side. So if I can get a view of it here. It's this screw right here. It's operated by this rod that comes over from the right side. I also degreased that and blew out the grease with the compressed air. So these pivots are working freely now. And my ribbon is reversing. Speaking of ribbon, I need a new ribbon on this machine. Okay, another problem was the space bar is making a kind of a vibrating noise. Okay, so I've hot glued little squares of this thin rubber, and that's much quieter. It's not making that vibrating sound, just a little thunk. That's about all I can hope for. Well, okay, so it looks like I have the original Corona spools that I got the typewriter, that came with the typewriter in 2016 when I got it. So there you go, some metal spools. What's interesting about these, however, is they only have one set of hooks in the center hub instead of the double hooks. So you have to be careful of which orientation the spool is relative to whether it's left or right side. So I'm going to first cut a little slit in the ribbon, and I'm going to install a eyelet on the open end of this ribbon before I put it onto the first spool. So I'm going to just split it open with my scissors and try to get the split fit around the body of the eyelet, and then I'll crimp it on. Okay, now I'm going to take this spool and I'm going to attach it via the speedy spooler to my cordless electric screwdriver, and then I will wind on the ribbon slowly from the bulk supply of Baco ribbon using the round platter fixture that I made up. And you just got to wind this on slowly so you don't have the ribbon kink as it did to me once here doing this. But anyways, do it slowly, fill it up, and stop it, and then snip the ribbon off, and then you just need to put an eyelet on the other end. Okay, so I'm going to put this ribbon in. You first have to fit the ribbon around the reversing guides. The reversing guides are like a loop with a split opening in the back of them, so you have to feed them around the back of them. They're a little tricky that way. And then you want to jam two of the type bars together, set the color selector to red, and push two keys up and have the vibrator set up high so you can get the ribbon into the vibrator. You have to get the ribbon around the back of the two center pins sticking up, or fingers sticking up, and then you have to get them in the little slots of the slanted little loop brackets. It's a little tricky, but you get it. So it really is nice to have this beautiful typewriter working good, and a fresh ribbon, good dark type, and yes, very great. I'm going to do some fun typing on this machine. Indeed, indeed. Well, this was a fun project. You know, it is almost like getting another typewriter, one that you haven't used in a long time. Yes, it's in your collection, but it's like you found it all over again. And in the case of this one, it wasn't really in super clean condition when I stored it away in the closet, maybe a year or two ago, a couple of years ago probably. But yeah, so it gave me an opportunity to clean it up, degrease it. Certainly needed a new ribbon, and needed a little bit of help along the ribbon reversing system, and so it really is better than it was before. And so now I get to enjoy this machine like it was a new one to my collection, and well,
I'm going to have fun with it, and I hope you have fun with your collection. If you have a typewriter collection, get those hanger queens out of the closet and start using them again. Yes, clean them up, maybe put a new ribbon in. Have fun with them. Well, this is Joe. I wish you the very best. Stay creative. Have yourselves a great day. I got more typing to do. Bye-bye for now.